Om Shanti Shanti.
So here's what's important to remember. Saying something is divine doesn't mean it's joyful. Arjun was not having fun. That was not joyful. That was war. And I keep coming back to this example because when you talk about scriptures, they're given to us for a reason, in the way that they're given. The scriptures are not given of, there were these 5 brothers and they were eating chocolate ice cream in the park and it was a beautiful day under the mango tree and this really nice blue-colored sage came up and gave them a nice lesson and then they went home. It was given to us the way it was given to us, I believe, to remove any doubt of the fact that the drama of life is supposed to be always fun, is supposed to be always quote-unquote good, that it's not supposed to include killing or death or grief. And when you think about it, if we assume that God, by whatever name or form or culture we are, gave us the scriptures, and if we assume that God is infinite and omnipotent, well then surely God could give us any story that he, she, it wanted to give the teaching. So coming back specifically to your question about the universe. It's good, we associate it with divinity and auspiciousness, but what about the bad? Well, yeah, it's all there. Now, there's two aspects of it in my mind. One is what I would call the natural aspect, which is things like green leaves turn brown, they fall off the tree. Death. You had a beautiful, lush, living green tree in one season. Now you've got bare branches in the next season. That's nature. You've got things like, you know, I love these National Geographic and Discovery movies. And I was watching one recently of Africa, and it was this beautiful, incredible herd of zebras. And it was just exquisitely beautiful, and they were walking through the African plains and drinking water. And suddenly, there were tigers. And the story was about the tigers killing the zebras for their food. And strategically, how they did it, and the mama and the dad and the female and the male, and how they lured them and scared them. And as I was watching, I found myself instinctively rooting for the zebras, like go, 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 run, 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 you know. And as the tiger jumped on it, actually it was the lion jumped on it, there's this instinctive, ugh. But I realized after that moment, like, well, the lion has to live. Like, who are you to decide that the zebra is somehow more worthy of life than the lion? The lion's just doing his thing. God has created the lion to eat by killing zebra. On what scale is life for the zebra and death for the lion better than life for the lion and death for the zebra? So that's what I would call the natural side. And I realize you were talking about something different, which is the second part. But it's important to mention that that's part of, in my mind, the perfection. There's seasons of great harvest. There's seasons of scarcity. There's land that is lush. There's land that's barren. This is part of the whole balance. But then we have what you're talking about, I believe, which is, as you said, evil. People who do evil things. So whether we talk about terrorism or war or people cutting down the rainforest so they can graze cows and sell hamburgers, which to me is nearly just as evil. When we talk about that, where does that come in? This is the aspect of free will. Now there's two levels actually, or several levels, but we'll talk about two. On one level, it's all perfect. Even all that is perfect. ISIS and terrorism and war and the destruction of the rainforests and global warming and children dying of starvation, there is a level of existence in which it's all perfect. Not good, but perfect in that it's all God. In that there is nothing but God. That's one level that, you know, if you study with people or talk to teachers or sages or saints from an Advaita Vedanta lineage, that's all an illusion. The terrorism, the war, the rainforests, the global warming, the stock market, the whole thing is an illusion. Everything is God, everything is perfect. That's one level of reality. It's the highest level, the deepest, truest, capital T, truest level. And, not but and, there's also this level, which is also true, just not quite such a capital T true, in which there's pain and there's suffering and there's hunger. And in which our duty, our dharma, is to do what we can to alleviate that. And this is where we've all been given free will. To choose the light, to choose the darkness, to choose dharma, to choose adharma. And there's both going on in the world. Each of them today is getting heightened. There's a pull towards separation, but there's an even greater pull. A movement in the very field in which it all is existing toward oneness. Because all of that quote unquote evil is rooted in one thing: separation. None of that could take place, whether it's the rainforests, whether it's terrorism, whether it's war, whether it's domestic abuse, whether it's rape, whether it doesn't matter what you consider evil. None of it could take place if we didn't live in an experience of separation. We wouldn't have children dying of starvation. We wouldn't have water shortages. We wouldn't have land shortages. We wouldn't have energy shortages. We wouldn't have a lot of what exists on that level today. It's due to an experience of separation, me from you, us from them, that enables people to make decisions that we might label evil. Know that there is a movement toward oneness, and that is what the spiritual practice brings us. The word yoga means union. As we have a movement toward yoga in the world, and yeah, I know a lot of it is physical, but that's okay. Yoga has a power in and of itself that even if people get into it for their knee or their hip, don't worry, yoga itself is powerful. It will bring people more deep. But each of us has a choice to make of whether I'm going to live in separation or in oneness. And making a decision to live in oneness. Even if I don't experience it every moment, I'm not saying that every moment I'm having that experience, but I'm going to live with the awareness of oneness. I'm going to know that that's true even if I'm not personally experiencing in that moment. That's going to be my truth that I keep coming back to. That's going to be the foundation from which I make choices and decisions. If you were diabetic and the doctor said to you, stop eating sugar, no matter how much you loved chocolate cake or ice cream or gulab jamun or laddus, you would stop eating them. No matter how much your tongue said, please, 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 you understand intuitively that my tongue is part of the same body as my pancreas and my bloodstream. That they're not separate. In the same way, when we understand that our universe is one, we no longer can make decisions over here that are killing us over there. I only can keep eating laddus and ice cream and chocolate cake if I really believe that my mouth is separate from my pancreas in some way. Part of a separate entity. And in the same way, we can only do what we're doing if I believe that I am separate from the rest of the world. And so this is where that evil stems from. Is this ignorance of separation. And so each of us, every one of us, has the power to be part of oneness, to live with that truth. That's the power of the spiritual practice. And then you literally become a magnet. You know, the North Pole doesn't need to shout, point your compass to me, I'm over here, idiot, point toward me. It's got a pull that's so strong that all of the compasses just point toward it automatically. A magnet pulls the iron toward it. It doesn't have to shout. It doesn't have to beg. It just is. If we can work on creating that in ourselves, then we'd have a lot more power to affect change than all of the shouting, all of the screaming of it. It's helpful in some way, it creates awareness, but the real power comes from becoming that magnet of truth, of oneness.